It is Sunday. It's 8:45. On Sundays, I do a couple of things that I'd love to share with you. I do a weekly review, so I review my week. While I do that review, I have it stacked. So I do my facial, my at-home weekly facial, and then I also plan my week. But I'm gonna break these videos up because that can take a while. So in this video, I'm gonna break down how I do a weekly review. I think weekly reviews are super important just so that you can see kind of your accomplishments over the week, what you've done well, what you've not done, but more importantly, it helps you kind of align with and keep track of your goals for the year so that they are always at the forefront and that you always focused on how you're making progress to those. So I'm about to do a weekly review, put my face together, and I'm looking around this room. It's a hot mess. Let me get my meditation in and get on up. Okay, I'm gonna start my facial. I'm gonna start with washing my face and pulling out my steamer, and then we will head over to my computer, my computadora, so we can get started on this weekly review. Shall we? Let's get this Sunday started. I have a real paper towel problem. I use so many paper towels. The environmentalist gonna come get me. I use a ridiculous amount of paper towels. I wanna be better. I wanna be a better person. Let's go steam this. Actually, I'm gonna go make me some coffee and then I will steam. This is my steamer. This is my little personal facial steamer. It's super simple. Like, it's just got this little thing in the back that you put water in, one little button. Easy peasy. I like easy things. So yeah, I'm gonna fill this up, go get some coffee, and I'll meet you guys at my desk. Let's get to it. Oh, I didn't plug up my monitor. I just do not have it together this morning. I would love to be still asleep right now, to be honest with you. I wish I was not an early riser. It's so funny because all the productivity gurus are like, wake up at 4 a.m. Early bird gets worm, wake up at 5. I wake up at 5 naturally. Ooh, come on, steam. That feels good. I wake up at like 5 naturally. But on the weekends, I just wish my body would let me sleep until 10. I just really do. All right, girl, we're not going on threads. Not the first thing I'm doing going on threads. Let's get focused. Let me tell you a few things before we get into this weekly review while I get this wonderful steam. The first is why I like to do a weekly review. And I mentioned this briefly while I was in the bed, but I think it's important to do a weekly review, because you get to kind of see your progress towards the things that you need to get done. It's great to have goals, right? It's necessary to have goals and all of that. But if you're not tracking and monitoring where you are towards those goals, then you're never going to manage them, right? So we say this often in the whole productivity space: what gets monitored gets, no, what gets measured and monitored gets managed. And so being able to measure and monitor your progress towards your goals is super beneficial to help you reach those goals. And one of the key ways to keep us on track and reaching our goals for the year, hell, for the quarter or for the month, honestly, like we ain't even got to think about the whole year. I just want to make it through month by month. I just want to make it through month by month. But one of the key ways to do that is doing a weekly review, so you can see where you stand, what you need to tweak, what you need to change, and like keeping top of mind your goals. So that's why I like to do this. It just kind of keeps me on track for like, how am I progressing? But also it keeps me on track with being able to have specific focus, so I can know as I'm doing my weekly review where my gaps are, so I know where to focus next week. And where I do this in Notion. I actually built a template in Notion for myself. You can do this wherever you want to do it. You can do it in Excel, Google Sheets, Apple Notes, on a good old notebook, wherever you want. I have started doing it in Notion because I like the portability of it. My weekly review consists of 4 key activities. One of those activities is reviewing and updating my YNAB app. My YNAB app is the You Need a Budget app. It's where I track my spending. I kind of do this every morning, basically categorize any transactions that came the night before. So I can kind of see where money is draining from, where I'm spending money from, where money still needs to go and things like that. But I like to, at the end of the week, do kind of a final recap of that and then make sure that all of my accounts are accurate, because it keeps a running tally of what your balances are on all your accounts. So at the end of the week, I like to make sure that that is accurate. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. And the good thing about the You Need a Budget app is you can use it on your phone. They have a web app, and you can also use it on your iPad as well. But again, at the end of the week, I'm going to sit down at my computer because I feel official. I feel way more official. So I'm going to do that first. This, here's why I love YNAB, and I share about it all the time, is that it is zero-based budgeting. So it's really focused on you budgeting every single dollar that you have. And I know that sounds intense, but it's little things like saying, okay, every dollar that I have that comes in, it has to go somewhere. Like, I expect it to go somewhere. And I love that it's not rigid. It's very fluid. So let's say you do traditional budgeting and you say, I'm going to spend $500 on groceries, right? That way of budgeting is not, and you're only kind of looking at it once a month or once a week to kind of see where you are. On a daily basis, I can make adjustments. So for instance, if I budget $500 for groceries, but I end up spending $550, then I know I need to pull $50 from somewhere else. It's not just, oh, I went over budget. It's, oh, I need to cover that overage with something else. And so I love the idea and the mindset shift around every dollar that you spend on one thing is a dollar you cannot spend on something else, which we know theoretically, but a lot of times we don't have that in practice. And so it really holds me accountable to saying, like, where is my money going? And there's no real focus on future money coming in. It's like, what money do you have today? Today, what money do you have? And how are you budgeting that? And sometimes if you're spending future money, it will show you, baby, your money is overspent. And so I also love that you have to categorize every transaction. A lot of times, some of the transactions are categorized on their own. So it's intelligent, so it can see things that you often do. So for instance, every time there's a Walmart charge, it also knows that that's money my daughter probably spent, because I don't shop at Walmart. So I'm just going to go through here and, like I said, make sure all of these I have about 10 transactions that came in over the last couple of days that I need to categorize. And then I'm going to check all of my accounts and make sure that the balances are accurate. Who ordered Uber Eats? Was it me? 111. Oh, that was me. That was definitely me. My daughter is on my Uber Eats account. So sometimes I like to categorize out the money that I'm just spending on her. Keeping a running tab. Like, girl, this is how much I spent on you this month. I need to get her off my Uber Eats account. Okay, budget's all done. The moral of the story is I need more money. Anyway, budget's done. Facial steamer is done. The next thing that I like to do during my weekly review is weigh myself. And I typically do that right after I wake up and use the bathroom and before I drink coffee. And I forgot to do that this morning. So I'm gonna blame a few of them ounces on the coffee for sure. But I'm about to go weigh myself and then put my face mask on. Since after I steam, I always do a couple of face masks. So let's go do that. Let's go do that. So I got this scale a few years ago from Fit Index, and it has this cool little app. Let me show it to you. It's got this cool little app that actually will track my weight trends and stuff like that. So it's got my weight on here, but it's also got BMI, body fat percentage, and all this other stuff I don't care about. Here's what I like. I like that I can see my weight trends. Like, I can see it going, I've had this thing for a while, so I can see it going back like 2 years. And so I try to only weigh myself like once a week. It's hard to resist stepping on the scale in the mornings though. All right, so let's see what we got today. Take my socks off. Take my sweater off. There's some ounces in this sweater. The sweater is probably at least 2 ounces, you know? I feel a little bloaty today, so I feel like it's going to be higher than I want it to be. No, don't go to 85. The numbers don't lie. I ate like crap this week. I feel a way about it, but it is done. And it is tracked. I was doing so well. I was at 180 at the end of last week. Man, I could have been in the 170s if I had behaved myself. Anyway, we know now. We listen, we don't judge. We just do better. We just do better. All I'm going to do is do better. That's all I can do. I'm going to proceed with my first mask. This one's a short one. It's a 10-minute mask. This is this video is not about facials, but the first mask I like to use is this one by The Ordinary. It's a exfoliation mask. I don't like doing exfoliation granules like scrubs. I don't like doing them. They're too harsh for my skin, so I'd rather do chemical exfoliation. And that was a hot take, a tip from my wonderful esthetician, Tiffany Lennox of Lennox Skincare. I met her when I was living in Tulsa. She has a spa in Oklahoma City and one in Dallas. And I cannot wait to visit her in Dallas. But this one's pretty strong. So you only put it on there for like 10 minutes. And it's super thin. Looks like I just put blood on my forehead. It's already tingling. I can feel it stripping away the dead skin. I'm going to let this sit for 10 minutes and then we'll come back and talk about the next thing that I like to do in a weekly review, which is journal. Love journaling. I think journaling is like major key to self-awareness and self-mastery. I need to exfoliate my lips, but they're super dry. I can't stand it. I cannot stand dry lips. I sleep with like Vaseline and chapstick next to my bed. I will wake up in the middle of the night and put some on. My lips too big to be dry. Anyway, back to journaling. I think journaling is something small that you can do, but it has a really big impact. And so the next thing that I do is journaling, and we will go over that once I get rid of this facial. Give me 10 minutes. I mean, I'm not going to make you wait 10 minutes, but you know what I mean. I'll be right back. I've just washed off my exfoliating mask. So I always do 3 masks, at least 3 masks. So I always do a exfoliating mask, a purifying. So this one's a pink clay. So I love a pink clay mask. It's a good like pore cleanser, or I'll do a charcoal mask. And then after that, I do a hydrating, moisturizing mask. I have dry skin. Dry skin. I don't know about you, but for the longest time, I just assumed I had oily skin because I just felt like black people just had oily skin. And come to find out, I have. My skin is good and dry. Don't get in my eye now. Let me try to inch your way up into my eye. Simmer down. So I hope you don't mind as I talk to you about journaling. I'm going to be wearing this mask because we are habit stacking on today. We're stacking 3 habits together today. I love a good habit stack. So the 3 habits I'm stacking today are my weekly facial, my weekly review, and recording content. Look at me. I feel like I should win some kind of productivity award today. Let's get through this packing and then maybe I can win an award. Lord, I got so much packing to do. I also have to pack this whole place up. I've been staying in my Airbnb for the last month. So I had basically turned it into my own personal apartment. I need to turn it back into an Airbnb so we can make some money. I got to pack up my content studio. I got to pack up my bed. And then, of course, I need to pack my actual things that I'm going to be taking with me for the next month or so. I actually have no idea how long I'm going to be gone. I'm going off vibes. I'm going to be gone for as long as I want to be. I'm not putting the mask here or here because I'm probably going to handle some facial hair today. I got this mask from Target. It's not no fancy highfalutin. I got this from Target. And you are supposed to leave it on for 15 minutes or until it's completely dry. It's one of those masks that gets like crusty. It's grapeseed oil, witch hazel water, Dead Sea salt, and niacinamide. Niacinamide is supposed to be really good for you. Detoxifying Dead Sea salt and aloe vera extract. Let's go journal. Listen, I am fully aware that I'm over here on Blue Ivy's internet looking crazy, and I'm okay with that. It is what it is. This is literally what I do on Sundays, so we're keeping it real over here. Next thing that I like to do is journal, and I have built out this journal template in Notion. Y'all knew I was going to say Notion. Everybody talks about Notion. Let me know in the comments if you're like tired of hearing about Notion, or if you just are really interested in diving into Notion. Let me know in the comments which camp you fall in. Do you fall in the camp of like lower if somebody else mentions Notion? I'm gonna scream. Or do you fall into the camp of I really would like to dive into Notion? I'm gonna head over into Notion. I like to journal first before I get into the checking boxes and looking at tasks. I like to tap into my emotions and my feelings, and so I journal 3 things. My biggest accomplishments for the week, my biggest failures for the week, and what I learned, realized, or had to admit about myself this week. So my biggest accomplishments this week were, let me reflect on the week. This week feels like it's been a month already. Jeez. And I also want to call out that I only asked 3 questions. I'm not trying to make this like a homework project or a term paper. I want this to be very straightforward and very easy. I already do daily journals as well, so I don't want to make this too hard. 3 questions max. Like, I'm not trying to write a dissertation about how my week went. But my biggest accomplishments this week were hosting my first official coaching call with the remote focus group. That went really well. Oh my God, we had a great time. Not overworking. That was an accomplishment. Not overworking was an accomplishment. Some of my biggest failures this week were, oh my gosh, not going to the gym, not eating well. I really do find that like when I have short trips, it's really hard for me to make sure I go to the gym. And this one in particular, I had a whole lot of things that I had to do for the brand that I was traveling with. And I just didn't do a great job of like working in gym time or, planning to get up early. I was also very tired. I think I was PMSing. So like that PMS fatigue was getting your girl. Woo. Am I making excuses or are these reasons? Who knows? Either way, it didn't happen. Not going to the gym, not eating well, and drinking more than 3 glasses of alcohol. I definitely was drinking the liquor this week. Something I learned to realize or I had to admit about myself this week was when I am overworking, when I'm putting myself in a position where I'm working a lot and I've got a lot of projects and a lot of things I'm juggling, the things like my health commitments and stuff like that tend to take a backseat. And it's really easy for me to just start ordering food that I shouldn't be eating. And so I like to just not stop there and try to think about like, well, what can I do about that? What could I do about that as well? So a couple of things I could do about that is have some healthy meals on hand. Have some pre-made meals in the freezer that are decently healthy for freezer meals to fall back on. Commit to at least jumping rope for 15 minutes if I don't do anything else. Like I can jump rope for 15 minutes. I'm not that busy if I don't do anything else. And something I learned, realized, or had to admit about myself isn't always negative. Sometimes it's something that's really good. Like, oh my God, I'm a really good friend. I really look out for people. So sometimes it's good, but this week it's something I need to work on. All right, so now that we have journaled and tapped into our feelings, it's time to look at more tactical stuff. So I'm going to actually review my tasks for the week and see where I landed. What are the things that I got done? What are the things that still need to be completed? So I'm just going to look at where I am with my tasks. And if I failed to check something off during my daily review at the end of the day, then I can go ahead and check that off now. All right, so I'm looking at my tasks that were not completed this week, and here's what I did complete this week. So it either says done or I put a checkbox, one or the other. I'm going to go over to not completed. Read 50% about All About Love. I cannot make myself read this book. I don't know what is going on with me, but I did that. Contact Morgan's doctor's office. One of my friends gave me a recommendation for their doctor for HRT. Because y'all, I went to go get, oops, am I still recording on this thing? I went to go get labs done so that I can decide if I'm going to be on HRT. And them labs were $2,500 without insurance. I do not have insurance right now. I was like, no, no, no. So I reached out to one of my friends who I also know doesn't have insurance and works for herself. And she gave me her doctor who had very reasonable prices. So I reached out to her doctor. I did that. I'm going to check that off. I also like to look at my goals for the week to see what I can check off. And this seems a bit redundant because my goals for the week are not tied to the tasks. Goals for the week is like I just make a checklist. And some of those things turn into tasks. And some of those things are just things that I'm tracking whether or not I did on a regular basis. So I'm going to look at this, remove all my credit cards from Apple Wallet and Google Pay. I actually didn't do that this week. That did not happen. Apply for Vietnam visa. That got done. I checked some boxes. Boxes got checked this week. Go me. So that's it. That is honestly it for my weekly review. I'm going to go wash this stuff off my face. And then I'm going to dive into my weekly plan because that's the next phase. After I review my week, I like to plan the next week, but that's not what this video is going to be about. I will create a separate video going over how I plan my week. But this has been my weekly review. This maybe takes about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how many transactions I need to update on my budget. But it's pretty straightforward and it's not a lot. It's 4 things. It's updating my budget and my spending plan, weighing myself, journaling, just 3 journal prompts, and then reviewing my tasks for the week. Easy peasy, doesn't take much time at all. So I'm gonna go wash my face because I look crazy on this here internet. If this was helpful, please go ahead and smash that like button and let me know in the comments if you do weekly reviews or if you're going to start doing weekly reviews. And don't forget to check out the video on how I do a weekly plan. That is also where the magic happens. I love a weekly plan. So check that video out. I'll see you over there. Bye.